Hey, YouTube. And then the Lord said, let there be light. I finally have light. They're taking this damn thing off in front of my window. But the scaffolding's still up there, but the plastic stuff that covered all my light and air is gone. Okay, I'm here to talk about Greenleaf. Season 4, Episode 4. Okay, so this thing opens up with Bob is meeting with Grace in the restaurant, right? He wants Calvary to merge with this other church. The problem is this other church is a white church. It's a struggling church. They've lost a lot of their members, and he feels like he can merge the two, right? Race is going to be a big problem with this episode, right? No one involved thinks that they'll be able to successfully merge a white and black church together. And we'll get back to that. But this is when he introduces it, the subject, the idea. This is what he wants to do. Next thing we see is Grace. She's over at 8. She's got an AJ this apartment. Cute little studio apartment. Probably the first one he's ever had. You know, when he got busted, he was sleeping in other people's houses. That's how he got busted. Let me see. In or near Memphis. So he's come to near where they're at. So, but no one still no one knows about him except her, and Sophia knows about him. Now Sophia has been she's connected with him online. So those two have been talking online. They know of each other, and now they've actually met online, right? Next thing we see is Carissa talks Jacob into signing over their property, which is adjacent to. Can you guys see all these reflections in this thing? Let me see. All I see is reflections of these lights behind me. Okay. Anyway, he was resistant. His father was adamant. He did not think she should sell that land, and she's convinced him. So while they're at this meeting with this realtor guy or this in-between guy, this intermediary for the buyer, she notices these cufflinks. Now, ordinarily, they wouldn't make a big deal out of somebody's cufflinks, but this is going to play into the narrative, right? She noticed he has these unusual cufflinks. Carissa does, right? Those cufflinks will come back as we progress in this episode. Bishop is asked to preach. He's got a friend. They need him. They want him to be a guest preacher in Atlanta. Lady May, Bishop tells Lady May that he's going to go and preach one sermon. He's supposed to be retired, but he is a preacher. That's what he does for his whole life. So he's looking for the opportunity to go and preach, right? May is adamant against it. For whatever reason it is, she feels like it's a bad look for him to go and preach somewhere else. I don't totally understand that, but that's how she feels. And she lets him know how she feels. Next thing we see, Grace tells her parents about the proposed merger. They are both adamantly against it. Now here's where they all three can agree. Actually, they all three and the pastor of the other church all agree that this is not a good fit. This is not a good match. Bishop feels like if they merge these churches, a black and white church, race is the primary issue. They said if they merge a black and white church, they're not going to have a black pastor. So they figure this is another way they're inching out the Greenleafs, including Grace. This is how he feels. He says he's never seen it. He's never seen a black and white church. It seems to me that I've seen churches that have, well, maybe they're not balanced. I mean, but there's always white people in black churches. But, and this other church that has only a very few members. But he feels like this is part of Bob's grand plan to get rid of them. Okay, so Sophia shows up unexpectedly at the mansion. She sneaks into her room. I mean, her mother's suite. She didn't tell her she was coming, but she's coming there to see her brother, who is now near them in Memphis. Right? She encounters Grace. Grace is coming in. She's going out. They have words. Sophia has not forgiven her mother for not telling her about her brother. And she does not want to be lying for her. So she doesn't want to see anybody else. She wants to just come in, stealth, and leave after she sees him, right? Okay, so Sophia is struggling to keep this secret. She's staying with Zora in the cabin for however long she's there, a couple of days or whatever, weekend or whatever she's there. And Zora is starting to ask questions. Sophia does not come home one night, and Zora thinks she's got a secret lover, which she's not telling her about. So she gets the attitude. So this is all about Sophia. She's on the verge of telling somebody about this boy. She wants people to know about him, even though they haven't actually formally met. But she thinks it's wrong. This boy's been treated this way. And she's trying to hold it all in. She goes and visits her brother. They have a nice sit down. This boy, it seems that he's got a drinking problem. Because they make a point of showing us that when she doesn't finish her drink, they're having a cocktail in his apartment. When she doesn't finish her drink, he pours her drink into his drink. So we see him drinking a lot, and they show him pouring a drink into it. Well, anytime they emphasize him drinking like that, that means he's probably going to have a drinking problem, or why bother? Right? But they get along okay. She falls asleep. She's sleepy after a couple drinks, and she falls asleep in his apartment. Now, this is his real blood sister, so there's not going to be anything untoward, shall we say. They're just getting to know each other. And she falls asleep in his apartment. He covers her with a blanket. Okay, May gets... Then May arranges a meeting with Bob. They meet in a restaurant, right? And she's telling him about this color issue and this merging with this other church. She's totally against it. I don't remember what Bob told her. I don't remember, but she says it's not going to work. She feels that Grace has got to make this her priority to make sure that this merger does not happen. Right? She tells him about it. Messy Charity. You know, she's the spy now. Her mission is to spy and get information on the Greenleafs so that Phil can use it against them, because he wants to be the pastor of Calvary, right? So she calls Noah, and she leaves a message. She's trying to figure out what Grace is up to. So in her mind, Grace is meeting with somebody. She don't know if it's Noah or somebody else. Some reason that she was leaving town, right? But so she decides to call Noah and leave a message on his machine, on his phone, stating that how could he come to town without letting her know? Then the wife of Noah finds the message. She hears the message, right? So now she knows that he's been in Memphis. She knew nothing about that. He came there to confront Grace about him having a son, right? So this girl, she gets so pissed off with him that she thought he was meeting with Grace. And so Noah breaks down and tells her the truth about this boy, about the son that they have. Because apparently she can't have children. They can't get pregnant. But he's already got a grown son. She gets so pissed off about this that she throws him out. Now, that marriage must be kind of shaky. How's she going to be that angry with him that she would end her marriage to him because he had a baby that he didn't know anything about 20 years ago? Now, If she end the marriage over that, he needs to keep stepping. But maybe they're already struggling because she can't have children and they desperately want them. Anyway, he's out. Okay. So Grace meets with this other pastor, Cal. Cal's a white pastor. Seems like a decent guy. He knows nothing about this merger that's been sprung on him, and he is just as against it as she is. Now, no one is being racist overtly here. You know, this is all Bob's plan. They don't understand what he's up to. But they both feel that this merger would be a bad idea for both churches. And I guess black people people tend to be tribal. So black people tend to congregate in their churches. White people congregate in their churches. Now, no one seems to feel like the merger would work. Nobody but Bob. We don't know what Bob's big plan is yet. But Grace can tell this guy doesn't want it either. Clarissa meets with Phil about adding a school or something to Calvary. And while she's there, she noticed that Phil is wearing the same cufflinks as that middleman. Right? The person who was in charge of this sale. I don't know if he was a realtor. Somebody who worked for Bob. Anyway, she noticed these cufflinks that Phil was wearing. And then Phil explains that after you work for Bob for 5 years, he gave you these cufflinks. She said, oh, where can I go get some? I'm going to get some for my husband. I really like them. He said, no. These are custom made. So now she made the connection. This sale is going to Bob and Harmony and Hope Church. And for some reason, they're keeping the secret who's buying the property. So now they're going to own Calvary and all of its land and the adjacent property and all of its land. It sounds like some big mega church he's going to build. Something he's going to do that's huge that would require both properties. Right? Plus, he wants to bring in a white church. How many other churches is he going to bring into that thing? We don't know. So far, no one knows Bob's plan. And I'm not even sure that Phil knows what Bob's up to. Okay. She asked around a little bit with the realtor, with the black girl with realtor, and she figures out, okay, Harmony and Hope is the one buying this church. But she holds this close to her vest. She doesn't tell anybody that they are the ones behind the sale. Carissa, she wants this new house so bad that she's going to keep this a secret and allow these people to acquire this property. Right? Sophia doesn't come home, so Zora jumps to the conclusion that she's got some kind of secret boyfriend because she didn't come home that night, and she is pissed off. Sophia brings her a love offering of some cake thing. I don't eat cheesecake anymore. Puts it on the table, and now she's pissed off. Because she feels like she tells Zora everything. She tells Sophia everything, and Sophia is not telling her everything. She calls her some kind of a whore or a slut for being out all night. Right? Sophia, she's struggling trying to keep this secret. She would rather her feel like she's a slut than to spill this story, but she doesn't like keeping it secret. That's why she doesn't want to see anybody in the family. All right, next thing we see is Charity and this white girl are singing this song together. They're doing a duet with this dreaded song, this horrible song that Charity does not like, she don't want. It's a very, very white song. I'm not a racial person, people, but I'm just expressing what's going on here. The song doesn't sound soulful, put it like that. Anyway, they sing the song together. Charity through clenched teeth. Then Grace takes to the pulpit. So now we finally get to see Grace preach. Stop, boy. We've heard those snippets of her, she is the pastor, but we haven't really heard her break loose in a passionate sermon, right? Well, she does. And everybody loves it. Everybody gets happy about it. It's inspirational, something about or whatever. Everybody gets the sermon except for Bob. Bob feels like this is a message to him that she is trying to separate these people, and she is stepping on his plan somehow in this sermon, right? At first, he seems to like it. Why am I getting this? I forget this name. Yeah. Anyway, then he picks up a message in it, right? So after it's over, he summons her to Phil's office. Okay. He summons her to Phil's office, and he tears into her about this sermon. She feels like she's interfering with his business. Now the white guy is saying, no, he wants to hold on to his church, give it another try, and all this kind of stuff. So apparently her sermon is kind of inspired this other guy. Bob don't like it, and he threatens her. He said, one more stunt like that, and you will be out, your sister will be out, and your brother will be out. We will get rid of all of the Greenleafs. This is my church. I pay your salary. My name is on your checks. Right? Mm-hmm. So he said he was not satisfied with that sermon at all. Everyone else loved it, including Lady Mae and Bishop. Pretty much everybody in the church liked her sermon. Okay, let me move on. I'm getting stuck here. Okay, they make a big thing out of Carissa signing this deed, or the papers that signing over this property to these anonymous buyers, which is actually Harmony and Hope. She knows. She's the only one knows, and they make a huge scene out of her signing the papers. But she does go through with it. Harmony and Hope now owns that property. Carissa can get her house, but I have a feeling this is going to come back to bite her in her ass because she held this information. All right, last thing we see is Noah. He calls Grace. He tells about what's happening with his family, with his wife. She's thrown him out and all this kind of stuff because he confessed about this boy. And now he's announcing that he is moving to Memphis as well. And he wants to meet his son and be a part of his life. So now this boy, he was an orphan in the system, maxed out at 18. So now he's got a mother and a father, both, who want to be in his life, and a sister. All these family members want to be in his life. Of course, we know he's being an asshole right now because he's a young person. But Noah's announcing that he's moving to Memphis. That marriage so ended awful quick. I don't see that being a very good marriage. It's just that bit of information within the marriage, and he's moving to Memphis. But that's where we leave it. Okay? So I'll see you guys with this again next week. Later.